Step 2, understanding where you are. Where are you? You are sitting in front of your computer operating in Rhino, and you need to know where the machine is going to start recreating what you've drawn and cutting in the physical world. So there's two important concepts to know about in this case. There's the orientation of the machine, which is to say that the CNC machines have a native orientation. They have an x-axis and a y-axis that is always going to be mapped to your x and y axes in Rhino. There's a little diagram here that is partially out of date, but for the ShopBot and the small Techno machine, it's still correct. The ShopBot has its x-axis, your x-axis in Rhino, along the long side of its machine. So it's kind of like if you walk into the room from the shop, you can imagine if you're in top view all of a sudden in Rhino, you visualize the ShopBot in landscape mode and the small Techno HD in portrait. That's orientation. The second thing is zeros. So your origin in Rhino, your 0, 0, 0 point, is the reference point that you use to start cutting everything. When you physically start the CNC machine, you're going to tell it where that 0 was, which is what's called zeroing the machine. I work, and I would say most people here work, to keep the zeroed information around the corner of the table. This is for a couple of reasons. One, it's easy to zero the bit to the corner of the table. There's actually an automatic routine for doing it. And two, it's easy to line your material up to those edges so that it starts cutting in the right place. It's kind of like backing your material in the laser cutter into the right corner. So I have drawn, for my own guides here, don't mock my Rhino skills, I'm not a student anymore, an outline of the table at 96 by 48, that's the big ShopBot table, just so I know what my full range and extents are. And then this exercise calls for a 15 by 12 piece of material. So I'm going to do that. This is my material. I'm going to back it into that corner of the machine and zero it, and this is the extents of my table. Finally, we talked about X and Y, but what about Z? Since you zero the machine anywhere you want to, you can zero Z anywhere you want to. Practically, it makes sense most of the time to zero at the top surface of your material, which means that you want to have your material geometry below the XY plane, below Z equals 0. There's a couple reasons for this that will become evident as you use the machine. There's reasons to do it the other way, which you'll run into as you use them as the CNCs more. But I would say 9.5 out of 10 times, this is the way we do it and the way it makes the most sense. Finally, a word of caution for those who are not tidy about their Rhino files. I strongly recommend, if you have your model, your design model, somewhere in Rhino and that you're taking pieces of it to machine and prepare CNC files for, that you do it in a separate Rhino file entirely and make sure all that geometry is gone, hidden, deleted, all of that stuff. If you have stray geometry floating out here in your model, it's going to mess with the machine's clearances, and it's going to try to put shrink wrap bounding boxes around everything, which you don't want.